So yeah, if you have to make up the quiz, pretty easy. You're allowed to use a note card on it. If you need a note card, let me know and I'll get you that. And write down anything on the note card you want. But scores were good, so excellent job. I think you're all in the right location. So we are going to play around a little bit with the graphing calculator, and I wanted to show you it first, and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to play around with it. I have 8 of them that you probably share, or if you have your own, then perhaps you might want to share with somebody. But the graphing calculator is a nice tool. Again, I will have 8 of them usually in here. You're always welcome to come use one during an off period if you didn't have one. You could rent one from, I think you go on to, I have the link on Schoology, go into RevTrek. I think it's 20 or 25 bucks for the year. And they'll give you one, or you can go buy one. I had a student a couple years ago, I thought this was genius. He went out to one of the pawn shops out on Santa Fe, and they had like 10 graphing calculators, and they were $3 each. He bought them all, brought them back to school, and sold them to his friends for $20 each. I was like, that's quite the entrepreneur, right? So if you choose to do that, that's your choice. And no, I don't need to have a finder fee. You don't have to pay me because you profited off of your friends. But yeah, kind of cool. Kind of cool. So if you have an old one lying around, you can bring it in. You can have the 83 or the 84. I don't recommend getting the 81. I don't know if you can even find them anymore. It just won't do quite as much. So let's play around with, I want to show you how this works first and show you what it goes with. And then the notes actually give you a pretty good indication of how to solve it. So again, if you missed the quiz yesterday, you can put anything on a 3x5 note card, 3-inch by 5-inch note card, or whatever it's 3. And if you need one, let me know. Come to me on an off period. Even if I'm teaching, you're welcome to be in here, and you can finish it up. And I don't know, what do you think? 15, 20 minutes was about the time you needed? I didn't really keep track, but I think most people got it done in that time. So in the book, let's see where to go. I'm going to go here. I'm going to plug the data in that they shared with us. And again, the step-by-step is in here, but I just want you to watch to see what I do. And again, I'm recording this so you can, if you want the video interpretation of what to do. So the stat button is going to allow you to put things into the calculator, put data in the calculator. Once you put it in the calculator, it's going to stay there until you clear it out, or you reset it, or your batteries die completely, including the little memory one. Thank for the little. Let's see. He's not here today. Nice. So, if you do plug stuff into your data, it doesn't affect how the calculator works. So don't think if you're sitting in a science class going, oh no, I have stuff plugged in my calculator, it's going to mess it up. It's not going to interfere with how it works. It's like a layer. The layer behind this in the edit is where I'm going to store it. The layer in the stored region doesn't affect the calculator. So I'm going to edit. So just enter. And then you're going to see all these lists. You have to choose which list to use. If you ever, for whatever reason, move up to the top and hit the delete key and L1 goes away, don't worry, you didn't break your calculator. Let me know and I can help you get it back listed. So again, you can't break these just by putting stuff in, but obviously dropping them and running them over with a car and things like that. So I'm going to just take the data that they had in your book. I think it's on page 84, I think. Yeah. Or wait, no, it's page 10, I'm sorry. So they gave us this data. It doesn't matter how you put the data in, the calculator can sort it out for you. But they said that you have 25, and each time you plug a data point in, you hit enter. If you make a mistake, the arrow key, just arrow back up to it. 19, 20, 15, 21, 23. 1928, 16, 2027, 1513, 22, 2620, 1924, and 22. It looks like I made an error. That 9 is supposed to be a 19, so I'll just arrow back up to it, highlight over top of it, plug in my new value, hit enter, and it changes it. So again, the calculator doesn't matter what order you put it in. If you wanted to, you can sort the data, and that's a whole different function, but there's no reason to. But once your information's in on the calculator, you want a few things to be turned on. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to hit second y equals, and takes you something called stat plot. You want plot 1 to be on, so you want it to be blanket on the on. And then it says type. So if I just plug the data in right now, I have only list 1. Notice that there's a list 2 listed. So I only have list 1. The first one's not going to work. That's just a stat plot. Oops. So move down. The second one, notice you still have L1, L2. Well, we still only have list 1. But we want to make ourselves our histogram. Okay, so, oops. So if I hit that, notice by me defaulting to this, for any of these are box and whiskers as well, so the next 2 are going to work as well. But notice it goes back to list 1. List 1 is where we stored our information. If you stored it in list 2, just change that to list 2 or whatever list you put it into. Some of the calculators will actually allow you to name the lists. It's not necessary. But if you do that, and then you hit, it's ready to go, we turn our stat plot on, you can hit zoom. And if you hit zoom stat, that's a good starting place for it. Looks like I have a linear equation I have plugged in there, so, oh, not linear, so we're going to get rid of that. Zoom, go back to stat plot, zoom stat. And that looks like a pretty nice looking histogram. Okay. Now, the problem with this right now is we don't know what the x-axis is referring to, and we don't know what the y-axis is. It doesn't come out labeled. We didn't tell it. This says, let's see, what did they say? Let's walk through those steps. Graphic calculus flexible. Okay, it didn't even tell us what these were, but let's say these were quiz scores. So notice it already breaks it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 boxes. Perhaps if you had a lot more data, a lot more spread out, maybe you break it into more boxes. So the calculator kind of has a thought process of saying, hey, if we have this much data, it ranges between this, we'll have this many boxes. If we have way more data that's a lot more spread out, maybe it'll create more boxes. And then the nice thing is if you hit trace, that'll tell you, oh, I happen to have this n equals 4. That means I have 4 pieces of data which are in this region. And it looks like it says it goes from, our scores go from 13 to 16.4. If I use my arrow over, this looks like we have 3 pieces of data in here. We go from 16.4 to less than 19.8. And then again, if I hit my arrow over one more time, we have 7 pieces of data here. Goes from 19.8 to less than 23.2. And so notice they're breaking this up into decimals. Well, the nice thing about using technology is it breaks it up a little nicer for us. It keeps our widths the same as far as the boxes go. And if I keep going with my arrow over, we have 2 pieces of data here that are from 23.2 to less than 26.6. We have 2 pieces of data here that are from 26.6 to less than 30. And then my last region, we have 1 piece of data in there that has a minimum of 30, and it's less than 33.4. We don't have anything that's falling way, way outside either way. Okay, so it kind of takes our histogram and it makes it a nicer place to manipulate it. Okay, so let's run through the steps real quick. I'll put it on. So first thing is you're going to go stat edit, and then you're going to go one, and then put your data in L1. Okay, yes, if you choose any of the other lists, you're fine as well. Just make sure L2 happens. And then you're going to have to go second, y equals, and turn on your stat plot. And then that'll take you to, on the stat plot, to change it to the histogram. And then the histogram is going to make sure it's dealing with the list you want. If you plug things in the list 2, then change it. Sounds like I just got a bunch of emails all at once. And then that's an HIS. Sorry. Plug your data in. Plug in data. So again, this is just a visual representation of how often your stuff is happening. And then once you have your data plugged in, hit zoom, stat, and I'm just going to put a disclaimer of this. You might have to adjust. Okay? So again, the calculator, nice tool for you. It will show you some information. If your window doesn't work for you, you can always go back and you can hit window and you can change what the window is doing. So if I was like, oh, Mr. Sherp wants to show up from 0, okay, so we'll change that to a 0. And then maybe we'll change this to 40. And then I think vertically it went well. We can change our scale. We don't have to count by 3.4. That's what the calculators did, some iteration to figure out 3.4 is a really nice thing to do. Bless you. But you could change that a little bit. You could say, I kind of like having a width of 5. I can change it to that. Y minimum. Did we have any negative values? I don't think we did. So if we wanted, we could change that to a 0. Maybe just to make that nice, we could say keep it at 8.19, but I could change it to 10. And the delta X, don't really worry about that. And the trace step of 3.3, don't worry about that. But then if you hit that, once you've done that, that changed our data. Ooh, so something wasn't in the thing. So let's change our window one more time. Oh, I did my X max at 440. Let's make it just 40. Y max. Oh, let's make that 10. That should work. I think I'll no real obscure numbers, and then graph that. Okay, that's a little nicer representation. And by us doing that, we include having our 0, 0 as the lower left-hand corner. But are you wrong if you don't do that? No. It's just, how are you going to take a look at your data? Sometimes you can fix your window to make it work a little bit better. Again, no matter what you do on your calculator, you're not going to break it. You're like, oh my gosh, I plugged a negative in and I hit natural log. The calculator's not going to say, oh, you know what, you hit the wrong button, so I'm going to shut off forever. Okay? So what I'd like you to do, you could, pairs of 2 or 3, if you need a calculator. I think you can get this done, and I'll walk around and help you. But I think we can go to, is it page 105? Yeah, so why don't you work on page 105, 106. See if you can get it done. If you get it done before the period ends, that means you're leaving here without any homework. Cool?